What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 148. And today, I'm going to be reviewing Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the 2005 remake of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So what did I think of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Well, I liked it a lot more than the original. And I don't know, the original is always classic. It's always a classic movie. It had some great songs, and that was actually a musical. But this one was not a musical. It had some songs in it, yes. I mean, the only people actually singing anything was the Oompa But I still like this one a lot more just because of the whimsical, kind of magical part of the music. And the music was the best part of the movie. I just love the music. It's so wild and weird and just all over the place, amazing. And Danny Elfman's a fantastic composer. He composed the Spider-Man movies, and this movie is fantastic. It's one of my dad's favorites, actually, and I personally thought it was really good. There are things I did not like about it. Like, I did not like Johnny Depp's performance at all. I feel like Gene Wilder did a fantastic job as Willy Wonka. He was Willy Wonka. Like the gentle soul, you know, he's a bit insane at times, but he was very kind and warming. And during that version, I just didn't like him because he was so weird and creepy and just awkward and all over the place. And there were a lot of things that I did not like about his performance. But again, I think the idea is that he's supposed to be more close to the book, because that version of Willy Wonka is very creepy. And I mean, the fact that he had to use cue cards is crazy. I mean, seriously, that's like, if he gets so awkward he has to use a cue card, that's like, wow. I mean, I think Johnny Depp was just, as an actor, I think his brilliance. And at that time, 2005, I think it was a great year for movies. Like I said in review number 146, how I said that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that movie came out in the same year, and that year in general, 2005, was a great year for a lot of movies. A lot came out, and I definitely felt like this movie, because of the modern audience, because it came out in 2005, a lot of things were changed about it. Obviously, the visuals were different. There were no songs. None of the characters sang anything, and I don't know. I think the modern audience, to have it change like that, because you have this classic movie from 1971 with Gene Wilder, fantastic movie, and then you have this one, which didn't have as good as Willy Wonka, but the Charlie in this was actually quite fun. I liked Charlie. I mean, there's two different Charlies in each of the movies, but I don't know. I was looking at like an old versus new on Channel Awesome, and they're talking about how the original Charlie was, he actually had emotions. He actually, felt he could feel angry or scared or whatever. This Charlie just, he didn't really have anything to say much, and I can understand that. But all of the five children are different. Mike TV, in the original movie, he's all about, cowboys and television and all that stuff, guns and everything like that. And with this new one, he's all about the video games. It's literally what he likes to do. The television part of his interest is just the video games, and it's consuming his life, basically. And he only wants to go to the chocolate factory to win something. Kind of like the original, where he's not really interested in chocolate, although it's not really implied. He doesn't really care about anything to do with the golden tickets. He just wanted to win something, that's it. And in the version, he doesn't care for chocolate, and so he only wants to go to the chocolate factory to actually win something, which is not what he gets in the end, which is interesting. And then obviously Augustus Gloop, like the original, he's obsessed with chocolate. He's obsessed with food, everything like that, and so he gets what he deserves. And it's the same kid, German, all that stuff, and he's obsessed with chocolate. And then you have Violet, who's played by the beautiful Anna Sophia Robb. Now she's beautiful. Back then she was just cute. I talked about how last week the original, they had a brunette kid playing Violet, and then the new one, they have a blonde. And there's quite a difference. Like, in the new one, Violet is like first of all, it's disgusting because she is actually been chewing the same piece of gum for 3 months. But the fact that she actually, she won a medal for it is different from the original, because the original, it's just something she likes to do. In the new one, she actually wins a championship for world record of gum chewing, which is still gross, but it's still a thing. And then you have Casal, the cute, pretty girl who wants stuff, and she never says please or thank you ever. She's just a spoiled brat, and she does not deserve anything. Although she just asks for things, she just wants everything. Like, you know, she wants a squirrel even though she has all these pets, which she doesn't need, and she never says thank you at all, ever. So she doesn't deserve what she's getting. And I think that I was talking about in last week's episode because I wasn't sure about everything in the new one because I didn't know. I hadn't remembered the movie for a long time. I mean, this movie, they changed a lot about it. But in this version, she's after squirrels. And in the original version, she's after golden geese. I don't know why they're in the factory in the first place, but whatever. And again, each kid, they get what they deserve after they do something bad. And every time Oompa Loompa sings a song, they sing a song, and I liked the first song. The Augustus Gloop song, the first song I sing, is the best song out of the entire 4 songs they play. I just love it. It's fantastic. It's really amazing. It's fun. It's musical. It's just a great song. I like it a lot. And so I definitely could see some differences. Like, again, I was watching a lot of the videos about the diversity of the original and the new one, the one that came in 2005 starring Johnny Depp, and I realized that the original version, even though it was called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it was a lot more about Charlie. A lot more. We didn't really get much of Willy Wonka at all. But in this version, there was a lot of things that changed. Because it's a fantasy film, a lot of things were just kind of like weird and it made no sense at all. Of course, again, it's a fantasy film, it's not supposed to make sense. But on this version, it's centered a lot more on Willy Wonka instead of Charlie. And it's because we get Willy Wonka's backstory. We get to know his family, which is his dad in this case. I mean, he doesn't have a mom, apparently. His mom probably died somehow. But his dad is actually a dentist, and the weirdest thing ever is that, and I was watching a CinemaSins video on this, about how the fact that Willy Wonka's dad, you know, he's a dentist, and he has Willy Wonka, who has braces because his teeth are like, they're not even. He's these old-fashioned braces because I don't know when it takes place. It takes place a long time ago, like in the past, and so you have old-fashioned braces, and then you have Wilbur Wonka, the father of Willy Wonka, who sends Willy to go trick-or-treating and then brings back candy, and then his dad looks over the candy over and points it out and then tosses it into the fire. And it's like, well, why send Willy to go trick-or-treating if you're just gonna throw it in the fire? Well, because Willy Wonka's dad was an asshole. He's just mean. I mean, later on in the end of the movie, we find out that he actually does love his son, but in the flashbacks, it doesn't seem like he does at all, which is crazy. But still, there was a lot more backstory for Willy Wonka, and he has some of the most cringy lines, like, "Good morning, stars shine, the earth says hello," which is such a weird line. And then the Willy Wonka song, kind of like It's a Small World After All song, where it's just even worse. It's the Willy Wonka, the amazing chocolatier. That song I just hate. I hate that song so much. It's so horrible. But that's the point about that. That's the point. It's supposed to be horrible because it's so bad. I mean, it's fun to listen to, but like, ugh. And it's like these animatronics that eventually burn up, and it's more terrifying than the tunnel terror scene from the original movie with the disturbing scenes and all that stuff. It's a lot better. And speaking of that scene, they didn't do that at all with this one. They changed it. They didn't make it scary at all. They just made it basically like a water ride, basically, with a giant pink dragon horse thing rode by a bunch of Oompa Loompas. And most of the Oompa Loompas are actually animatronic because they really couldn't duplicate Deep Roy for everything. I mean, they had to do that with a lot of the shots to make him, especially when he's dancing. They had to replicate Deep Roy with a lot of the shots. But with the boat scene, they wanted to figure out something, so a lot of what you see in the back of the boat is actually an animatronic. It looks like Deep Roy. And so because they wanted to save money, they wanted to not have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff. I felt like this one had more visuals, and the scoring was amazing. I loved it. It's obviously a fantasy, but oh god, I love it. You know, the boat scene where they're going through the tunnel. The tunnel is way bigger in this one than the original. The original, it's just disturbing, but in this one it's more whimsical. It's basically like you're going on a ride, and it's amazing. I just love it. The chocolate room is just a lot more cool. It's more beautiful, and it's just more realistic. I don't know. I liked it a lot more because it's a lot better than the original. The original, it had its time, but you know, I mean, obviously they didn't have any songs, so they didn't have the Pure Imagination song, obviously. But even then, I still like the new one in terms of the visual style of it. Now they use a lot of CGI in the movie, obviously because it's 2005 and they had the technology to do that. Like when Violet has the gum, which is a weird thing because it's a chocolate factory and yet they have other kinds of candy like gum and for some reason nuts too. But in that scene, when Violet takes the gum and has the three-course meal, she turns blue, yes, but instead of just having her blow up, that's basically it. They actually CGI'd it, so it's a lot bigger. So in the original movie, it's, you know, she blows up, yes, but it's not quite as big as the new one. Because in this version, she blows up way bigger. It's like they have to use CGI because it's so huge, and it's just crazy weird. And I was never a fan of the character of Violet, but then I feel like this version of Violet was better. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the fact that she's played by Anna Sophia Robb, but I don't know. I just like this version a lot better. I mean, it's obviously because they had a bigger budget. They could work a lot of things. They could spend more money on the special effects and use CGI to make her bigger. I mean, they're gonna have to. But the reason why they couldn't do it before is because it was 1971, so they didn't have as big a budget, so they only had so much to work with. Basically, that's the idea. And so I can see why they used more practical effects for that. Probably I think they stuck her in like a big ball. The actress who played the original Violet, I think that's what they did. I don't exactly know. I didn't look at the features for that. I looked at most of the features. None of them had how they made the blueberry version of Violet. Although I like the way they did it, like the fact that her nose became blue and then her whole face became blue and then the entire body just got filled with juice and it just crazy. But in the end, it's still a wonderful movie. And then for Mike TV, because it's on the video games, what they did for this one, well, it wasn't much of a difference, honestly. They had more of a budget to work with, so that actually was like you're going through a TV. The Oompa Loompas were different. I don't think I mentioned this, but the Oompa Loompas were way different because it was the boy playing the character. They had to like duplicate him in different shots. They had to like have one shot where he's just doing pole dance, and then you had each of them, and some of them were animatronics. But Deep Roy, I don't know. I liked this version of the Oompa Loompas more because even though the Oompa Loompas, it was just classic in that original movie with the green hair and the orange faces, I don't know. I like the new ones. They were fun. They're a lot cooler and they're just awesome. I like them a lot more and yeah, they don't have the classic Oompa Loompa song, but they're still cool. And that's the thing. I think they're just cool. Also, one thing about the Oompa Loompas is that every area they're in, they always have new uniforms. Like in the chocolate room, they wore red jumpsuits. In the inventing room, they had black jumpsuits. In the nut room, they had yellow jumpsuits, and in the television room, they had white jumpsuits. And so it was cool to see them in different situations. Like they all sung in different situations. They had their little musical number for every kid that did something bad, and it's very interesting what they did. And also the interesting thing about Loom Loompas in this movie, when compared to the original movie, is that we don't really get to know much about the Oompa Loompas, like where they actually came from, in terms of Loompa Land. We don't really know where Loompa Land is or like what it looks like. So I like the fact that this movie showed you Loompa Land for the first time. It's just cool. I mean, obviously it's like disgusting what Willy Wonka has to eat, just to get them to join his factory. But it's a cool idea to have that incorporated into the movie. A lot of things they added into this movie to make it a cooler movie, and just, I mean, obviously the score is brilliant. I just love it. You know, the beginning of the movie, which is the coolest part of the movie, is the making of the chocolate. Having that Danny Elfman scoring makes it cool. Makes it like, I don't know, mysterious almost. Kind of like you don't know what's gonna happen kind of thing. And having the CGI chocolate with the factory, that, I mean, obviously CGI. Why would it not be? Well, you can't have to have CGI chocolate. But I like the fact that the opening credits for this movie make it seem like an actual factory, whereas the original movie did not have that. Did not have it, like, it didn't look like an actual factory. I mean, it is a factory, both of them, but this one I just felt like it was more like a factory. I mean, it's just feels more like a factory. There were a lot of similarities with both versions. Both versions had the same thing, although they did not have the fizzy lifting drink fruit. Not at all. That wasn't part of it. Kind of didn't really. I was very surprised that they didn't have that in there. But yeah, a lot of changes that I liked about it. I just think the music was the best part of it. Honestly, I just love the music. And one thing about the movie that I noticed was that this scene, you can't. I'm not sure you can see it. Hopefully, you can see it. It's that's Charlie holding some kind of candy thing. That scene was not in the movie. I looked everywhere for it. I was paying close attention to that part of the movie, the chocolate room. There was no scene in that movie where he was like smiling like that and holding whatever that is. I don't know. It was not in the movie. Sometimes that's just the way it is. That's like a teaser trailer where you have some scenes in a movie trailer where the actor don't actually make the final cut. They just get tossed. They don't even make it to a deleted scene. They just get tossed for time. Which is sad because a lot of movies like that where they have a teaser trailer and then they have the DVD and it's like, oh well, that scene would have been awesome to see in the theater, and then it turns out it's never actually released in the theater as the actual theatrical cut, and then we get on the DVD, it's like, oh, maybe they'll have the scene, and then it's like, it never actually showed up, but they just cut it. So it's weird to have a scene like this on the back of the DVD cover that doesn't actually appear in the movie. It's just weird. Speaking of the chocolate room, actually, there's a scene that I just didn't understand, which is weird. And probably the answer is that Charlie just decided to go get another apple, but there's a scene where he goes for an apple, one of the candy apples or whatever, I don't know what it, I think it's just like an ordinary apple. I don't know what it is. And Violet, the gum chewer, the gross gum chewer, who is just very mean, she takes one and then basically is just mean to him, and then leaves, and he doesn't bother to get another one. So it was just weird. There were a lot of things that were out of context in the movie that I just didn't understand, like Willy Wonka just moving out of nowhere, just moving. That made no sense. I mean, it's a fantasy movie, so it's just magic, who knows? But I did not understand that. Like, seriously, where'd he go? Because he's like, I'm not going to beat you here when you get back, and then he just leaves. We're nowhere to be seen. And then at the end of the movie, we find out that he's moved to some far out place, and it's just weird. Like, it's a whole building that just moved. It's just like, it's magic, it's weird. And speaking of fathers, the interesting thing about this movie was the fact that while Charlie didn't have a father in the original version, he had one in this version. But when we have Willy Wonka, he only has a father. He doesn't have a mother. It's just weird. It's like maybe his mother died. I don't know what happened. I think I might have mentioned that before, but it's just a very weird thing. I didn't get that, but yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It was fantastic. I thought it was great. Although one thing about the movie that I thought was cool, and I thought it's interesting that they did that, was we get to see what happened to the kids. Because in the original version, we don't get to actually see what happened to the kids. Like, the Great Glass Elevator goes up into the sky and then kind of floats around the city, and we see everything, and that's about it, and then the credits roll. But in this version, it kind of goes everywhere, and then we see the kids, we see Augustus Sloop, but basically, like, he's gotten all this chocolate on him, and then we have Violet, who has all the juice pushed out of her, but she's really, like, springy, and she's flexible, and all that stuff, and of course she's purple, like, well, she's Violet, actually, and obviously they had to CGI it because they couldn't actually make her do that, and then you have Rue Casal, who has, basically, she's just covered in garbage, and then you have Mike TV, he's just flat and skinny. It's just weird. Didn't like that, but it's still cool that they invoked that into there. Very cool. But yeah, in general, I liked the movie. I thought it was cool that they did that. And another scene that I did not understand either, although I kind of get it why he did it. Charlie learns that the final golden ticket has been found, and then it's actually been a fraud. And so he finds out a £10 dollar bill. I mean, I'm guessing it's £10, and then it's like, and then he goes to the candy shop to get a Wonka bar. And I was thinking we'd actually use that bill to buy food for his family. But no, he actually goes to get a Wonka bar and luckily finds the golden ticket, which is fantastic. But in general, it was just a very weird thing. I was like, why wouldn't he go to the store to get some food for his family and save his family? Which is very strange. But yeah, I like this version, but there were things I did not like about it. A lot of the movie was changed and altered. More backstory about a lot of things. We get some more exposition, or we get a really cool scene about an Indian prince who asks Willy Wonka to build him a palace out of chocolate. Like literally, it's all out of chocolate, and then it melts, and it's just crazy. But like the entire palace is made of chocolate, which is very weird. But again, it's a weird movie. But I think the best part of the movie is the music. The music is the best part. I just love the music. It's just very mysterious and whimsical and weird and everything. But I'm glad that they fixed the tunnel scene. I'm glad they built a water ride instead. That was fantastic. And that's all I can say about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I did like the end though. The end was great. I love the fact that that Willy Wonka lets Charlie live with him, like bring his whole home to the factory, which is a very possible feat to do. But he brings him inside the chocolate room and basically lives there, because the original movie we don't really get to know what's going to happen at all. We don't know Willy Wonka. He knows that he's not going to last forever, and even though he was in his late 30s, early 40s, okay, like he found one silver hair, like, oh no, I'm probably going to die soon. He just means he's getting older. I didn't get that. It's like, oh, he's not going to last forever. Obviously not, but yeah, I like the additions to a lot of things in this movie. I thought there were a lot of changes to this movie that I liked a lot more. The original will always be a classic, but this movie, because it was updated for a more modern audience, it's obviously a remake, but also it's a remake for the 21st century audience, the modern audience. They wanted to expand upon the original story. And then there was a sequel to this movie, like the book has a sequel called The Glass Elevator, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, and it was turned into a movie, which I think is fine, because it doesn't have to. This movie was just a success on its own. Although Gene Wilder did not like this one. He did not like the fact that they took essentially a masterpiece and turned it into other people think as garbage. It's not a garbage movie at all. You just kind of, it's like, oh, they just ruined the story by remaking it. With Johnny Depp, it's like, why ruin a perfectly good timeless classic? I mean, they didn't ruin it. They just changed it. Simple as that. They changed a lot of the movie and the story, and they added to it for a more modern audience. The mid 2000s, they decided to remake it, because I definitely feel like it wasn't a horrible film. I enjoyed it a lot more. The original movie was great. Had a great amount of songs in it, but this version of the movie I just enjoyed more because it was more fun. It gave this backstory to Willy Wonka a lot more. Again, which is going to be interesting because, like I said before, how the original movie had more to do with Charlie, and this movie had more to do with Willy Wonka, which is a strange thing. It's like, why didn't they make the original have to do more with Willy Wonka, and this version have to do more with Charlie? It's called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory after all. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. It was fantastic. I had no issues with it really, other than that some of the contact was just weird, and they just kind of... I didn't like Johnny Depp in the role. One of my least favorite roles of Johnny Depp was that, a lot of everyone's going to agree with me, I just didn't like him as Willy Wonka, but that's just my opinion, so. But still, fun movie, I really enjoyed it. It had great musical numbers in terms of Oompa Loompas, and all the fact that they expanded upon the story and the backstory of characters. It was fun. I definitely like the fact that they showed us a young Willy Wonka, all that stuff. It was a fantastic film. So I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna give this movie I gave the original movie a 7 out of 10. Didn't I? I think it was that one. Yeah, I think it was that. So I'm gonna give this movie a 8 out of 10. I still didn't love it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very good, but there were still some flaws in the movie, still things I didn't like. My dad does not agree with me on that, but I have my own opinion, so I'm gonna express it and just say that I think this movie was great, but it still suffered from things that I just did not like. So, I mean, the songs were great, but there's a lot of things they changed to it. Things I didn't really explain. I didn't really understand it. But hey, it's a fantasy movie. What are you gonna do? But whatever. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode I reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I vote your previous support, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series that I do, as well as other great content. Also, make sure you click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss my uploads, and I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya!